Like, share, and subscribe to Chhoti Duniya for magical stories and unforgettable adventures. The morning in Aeloria was unlike any dawn Ethan had ever seen. The skies shimmered with ribbons of gold and violet, while islands floated lazily above, connected by bridges of glowing light. The forest beneath them breathed and shifted as if alive, and Ethan felt the energy pulsing through the very ground he stood on. Lena guided him to a small clearing surrounded by ancient, towering trees, their bark engraved with symbols that flickered faintly when Ethan approached. "This is where your training begins," Lena said, her voice calm but firm. "The mark on your hand responds to your emotions and intentions. It is a conduit for the realm's magic, but raw power is unpredictable. You must learn to control it, or the Seekers will exploit your lack of focus and take advantage of your power." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The mark, a swirling pattern of light on his palm, had grown brighter over the last few days, but now it pulsed unevenly, a frantic rhythm that mirrored his own racing heart. It felt less like a part of him and more like a restless entity with a mind of its own. Lena demonstrated first, wanting to show him what was possible. Raising her ornate staff, crafted from the heartwood of a celestial tree, she caused the trees around them to bend, twist, and glow in a synchronized, elegant pattern. The leaves rustled in a harmonious melody, and a nearby river rose into the air, its waters defying gravity. The liquid column formed intricate shapes, graceful arches, interlocking circles, and spiraling helixes, all controlled completely by her will and the quiet focus in her eyes. Ethan's jaw dropped in sheer disbelief. I don't think I can do that," he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. The scale of her power was overwhelming. Lena smiled softly, a reassuring expression that eased some of his tension. "You don't need to copy me, Ethan. Magic is personal. You need to discover your own way, your own rhythm." Ethan closed his eyes and tried to steady his breathing, focusing on the pulsing mark on his hand. He recalled the chaotic bursts of light he had accidentally created during the first attack by the Seekers, pure, untamed energy erupting from a place of fear and desperation. He tried to channel that memory, not the fear, but the raw sensation of power. Slowly, a small glow began to form around his palm, faint at first, like a distant spark struggling to ignite in a vast darkness. Then, as he linked his focus to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, it grew stronger. He opened his eyes and let out a soft gasp as the light leaped from his hand into the air, forming a small floating orb that hovered before him. It shimmered and pulsed with an inner luminescence, as if it had a life of its own. The feeling was utterly thrilling but also deeply terrifying. "Good," Lena said, her voice laced with encouragement. "You've given it form. Now, keep it steady. Don't fight it, guide it. Breathe with it." Ethan concentrated, letting go of his anxiety and feeling the gentle, humming rhythm of the realm itself guiding him. He imagined the orb as an extension of his will. In response, it began to expand, its light becoming denser and taking the form of a protective shield that enveloped both him and Lena in a soft, golden glow. "You're a quick learner. You're ready for more," Lena said, her expression turning serious. "But controlling your power is only the beginning. You must also learn about the Seekers and why they are so relentlessly after you." Before Ethan could ask any questions, the serene atmosphere of the forest around them darkened abruptly. Long, distorted shadows crept between the ancient trees, twisting unnaturally as if alive and hungry. The air grew cold, and a heavy silence fell over the clearing. The Seekers had arrived again, their presence more potent and their movements more cunning than before. They circled the clearing, their forms half hidden in the gathering mist, their eyes glowing with a malevolent, crimson light. Their leader stepped forward, a tall, imposing figure wrapped in tattered black robes, moving with a silent grace that made Ethan's stomach churn with dread. "You train well for a human," the leader's voice echoed, not loud, but carrying a chilling resonance, like a cold wind whistling through a tomb. "But power without understanding is a dangerous, fleeting thing. We will be back to take what belongs to us, to reclaim the realm's heart." As the leader spoke, Ethan felt the protective orb around him flicker violently, the light struggling against the oppressive darkness that the Seekers brought with them. The shadows seemed to press in, probing for a weakness. Lena lifted her staff, its crystal tip glowing brightly, and called upon the pure energy of the realm. A blinding wave of light exploded outward, scattering the lesser shadows temporarily and pushing them back into the forest. But the leader's piercing gaze remained fixed on Ethan, unwavering. "This isn't over," he whispered, the sound of venomous promise that hung in the air long after he and his minions had vanished back into the gloom. The oppressive air calmed, and the clearing slowly returned to its serene, sun-dappled state. The sudden release of tension left Ethan feeling drained, and he sank to his knees, his body exhausted but his mind exhilarated by the surge of power he had managed to control. "Why me?" he asked softly, his voice barely a whisper as he looked up at Lena. "Why did the realm choose me? I'm nobody special." Lena knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Because you have courage, Ethan, and because you care. The bond doesn't choose the strongest, it chooses those who are ready to protect, not just to wield power. It chooses those with a pure heart." Ethan looked down at the glowing mark on his hand, which now pulsed with a steady, reassuring light. He realized that the realm had given him more than just a gift, it had given him a profound responsibility that would change the course of his life forever. As the sun dipped behind the magnificent floating islands, casting long shadows across the valley, Ethan and Lena sat quietly, watching the vibrant colors of the sky shift and shimmer from orange and pink to deep purple. Somewhere in the distance, hidden in the encroaching shadows of the ancient trees, the Seekers were regrouping, their dark minds certainly preparing for the next move in their relentless campaign. Ethan slowly clenched his fist, feeling the warm light of the mark on his palm pulse in time with his own determined heartbeat. He didn't fully understand his powers yet, not by a long shot. But one thing was crystal clear in his mind: he was not going to run. The realms were awake, and so was he. Like, share, and subscribe to Chhoti Duniya for more magical stories and epic adventures. To be continued.